This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. Thank you to the U.S. Small Business Administration for co-sponsoring our program and to our host organization, the University of Kentucky. Contact us at 502-625-0123 to get started.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Toolkit Tuesday. Glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the economic injury disaster loan that has been changed a little bit here lately, and it is on top of mind for everyone. So we have with us, hopefully, our guest today, Dana Winston. Dana, are you there?
I am here.
All right. Dana is a lender relations specialist for the SBA here in Louisville, Kentucky. She's a great person to know, one of my favorite people in the SBA, and I think she'll be your new favorite person too after you hear what she has to say today. We've been getting a ton of calls on this EIDL loan program. There's just been a bunch of news on changes and different eligibility and stuff. So I thought it'd be great if you would just come and just kind of set the record straight for everybody and tell them what they can or can't do. I know a lot of the programs have kind of sunsetted over the last year, and people are just looking for stuff to keep their businesses open. And this is a great way to do that, isn't it, Dana?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Well, Dana, let's just jump right in. Why don't you share your screen and we'll start talking about the EIDL program so people can start to figure it out.
Okay, we'll go ahead and jump right in then.
Do it. Thank you, Dana.
So thank you, Dave and Janet and the Kentucky SBDC or Louisville SBDC. Again, like David said, my name is Dana Winston. I work with the local SBA office. I do have to say, if you are a member of the press, information provided today is off the record and is intended for educational purposes. The information provided on this training is not intended to be legal or accounting advice. This is an educational overview of the information as we understand it at this time. So this past year, SBA has updated their website to be much easier to navigate. You can find all COVID-19 small business resources at sba.gov. If you're looking for specific program information, here's a good slide for you to capture. The PPP information can be found at sba.gov/PPP, but as you know, that has ended. The COVID EIDL is still available for small businesses and nonprofits to apply for. Information on this program can be found online at sba.gov/disaster, or you can call the customer service line for the Office of Disaster Assistance at 1-800-659-2955. Now, the EIDL will end December 31st of 2021 or until the funds are exhausted. Now, another program that we had was the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program. It has been expended, it has exhausted its funds, but if you applied for this relief and you were not awarded because the money ran out, you should still make sure that your application is up to date in case Congress in the future decides to allocate more money for the program. The RRF portal closed July 14th of 2021. And lastly, if you need more information on the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, you can go to sba.gov/SVO grant or call the Office of Disaster Assistance. And that one has closed as well, but the same information applies as it would for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So today we'll start by doing a COVID-19 EIDL overview. Then we'll get into some commonly requested data and documents. And then next we're going to cover what happens if you're declined. And finally, we'll go over some information from the targeted and supplemental advances. So the COVID-19 EIDL loan is for businesses that were in operation on January 31st, 2020. This loan is made directly by SBA and it must be repaid. This loan is a low interest, fixed rate, long-term loan to help overcome the effects of the pandemic by providing working capital to meet operating expenses. Now there are new lending limits, so we'll go over that as well. There is a fixed rate of 3.75% for businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. The EIDL loan has a 30-year repayment term, and collateral is only required if the loan is over $25,000. There is no personal guarantee required by the owners of the business unless the loan hits $200,000 or above. There is also no prepayment penalty. So if at any time, if your business recovers and you decide you no longer need the EIDL funds, you can pay the government back. And currently, the COVID-19 EIDL loan calculation is based on your working capital needs for 2 years, and the maximum loan amount has gone up to $2 million. For most businesses, the calculation of the COVID-19 EIDL loan is their 2019 gross revenue minus cost of goods sold multiplied by 2. The lines used for gross receipts, cost of goods sold, and expenses vary by entity tax return type. So here we have, we've been provided with the correlating lines in your tax returns for gross receipts, cost of goods sold, and cost of operations. So if I were you, if you like, take a picture of this so you will be able to remember it. On the categories, it shows the entity type, like self-employed, an S-corp, partnership, nonprofit. It shows the IRS form that you used. The category for gross receipts, it shows you what line you can pull the gross receipts number from. Cost of goods sold, it'll show you that line, and cost of operations if it applies as well. So remember, LLC should follow the instructions that apply to their tax filing status in the reference period. So the lines used for the gross receipts, cost of goods sold, and expense, the eligible uses of the COVID EIDL loan has been expanded. In addition to your fixed debts, payroll, and accounts payable, you can now also use EIDL funds to make debt payments, deferred interest, as well as prepayments on commercial loans. So that is new. And you can also use it now to make regular payments on federal loans. So you may not use these funds to expand your business, make prepayments on debt that is owed by a federal agency, including the SBA or an SBIC, and you may not use the funds to start a new business. So eligibility is based on 3 elements, assuming your type of business is eligible. So number 1, are you a small business or not based on size standards? So do you meet the minimum credit score, which helps SBA determine if you have the ability to repay? And lastly, did you actually suffer a loss? Now, there are some businesses who are ineligible no matter if they can pass the 3-part test or not. And these ineligible businesses include businesses engaged in illegal activity, businesses that has an owner with 50% or more ownership, and he or she is more than 60 days delinquent on child support, any business that has displays of prurient sexual nature, any business that receives more than 1/3 of gross annual revenue from legal gambling activities. Any lobbying businesses are ineligible, And of course, members of Congress and government entities are not eligible. The update on the definition of small business in some ways has been clarified, and for a set group of businesses expanded. The definition of small business is now one that is small business under SBA size standard. This also includes ag co-ops, aquaculture and nursery businesses, and producer co-ops, nonprofits of any size, ag businesses not more than 500 employees, with no more than 500 employees, sole props, independent contractors, other businesses with not more than 500 employees. This includes your affiliates. The last definition of a small business is for businesses with NAICS codes that were really hard hit during COVID. However, even these businesses cannot have more than 500 employees per location, and no more than 20 locations with affiliates. So here to look at those specific NAICS codes that I mentioned. These are businesses that are particularly hard hit during the COVID crisis. Many of these make up large numbers of small businesses. And keep in mind, however, that they can have no more than 500 employees per location and no more than 20 locations, and that does include the affiliates. Okay, now let's go over basic information requested in the platform. So first, you'll be asked to attest to a number of eligibility statements, and we'll go over more on this topic in a moment. You'll include your 2019 financial data. You will also see boxes for gross revenue, cost of goods sold, lost rents, cost of operating expenses, that's just for nonprofits. You'll be asked if you will receive other reimbursements like business interruption insurance. You will include your number of employees if you have any. If any item here does not apply to your business, just enter a 0 in it and move on. So do not leave it blank. Enter a 0 and move on. You'll need information on each person who owns 20% or more of the company, including their address, their social security number, and the percentage that they own. And lastly, a 4506T, which allows SBA to confirm your financial data with IRS, and this will be done within the platform. So in addition to your yearly revenues, you'll also be required to provide monthly gross receipts for each month from January 2019 through the most recent month. This information will also be used to determine if your business meets the revenue reduction requirements for the targeted and supplemental EIDL advances. And please don't leave any of these blank. If your loan will be above $500,000, you'll also need to provide your 2019 federal tax return with the schedules, standard resolution and certification, from which it is the ODA form P-022. Provide your schedule of liabilities, SBA form 2202, a list of real estate owned, and for sole props and independent contractors, we'll need your personal financial statement, or you can use the SBA form 413. Okay, so here is the process. After you submit your application, there will be an automated review that'll look at your credit score and make sure that your address matches that on record, etc. So here's where we see a lot of problems because of typos, and we will talk about more on this topic in a moment too. If the automated review is successful, you will then receive an email inviting you to register in a loan portal. In that portal, you should see a loan quote. This quote will give you a maximum loan amount for which you're eligible. You may be eligible. You can then choose a loan amount up to this maximum. If you want a lower amount, this is the best time and place to request that lower amount. So from September 8th until October 7th of 2021, SBA will only approve and disperse loans of $500,000 or less. This period of time was established to ensure Main Street businesses had additional time to access these funds. Approval and disbursement of loans over $500,000 will begin after the 30-day period is up, so after October 7th. There are also different timeframes for approval, depending on the size of your loan. So loans 500,000 and under will take about 3 weeks for approval. It may be a little longer these days. Loans over that amount will take around 6 weeks or more. So lastly, there are automated deferrals on EIDL loans. So businesses that received an EIDL made this year, 2021, will not have a payment until 18 months from the date of your note. Additionally, EIDLs made in 2020 will have a first payment due date 24 months from the date of the note. And any EIDLs prior to 2020 and up to March 1st of 2020, who also received an automatic 12-month deferment of principal and interest. Now, this is important. During this deferment timeframe, there will be no invoicing. You'll get no reminder letters, etc., until it's time to start your payments. And interest will continue to accrue during this deferral period of time. Now, why EIDLs are declined? Some of you have received a decline, so let's go over some of the most common reasons for declines and why, and ways to solve them when asking for reconsideration. So the most common issues we see in denials is unverifiable information on applications. It's a catch-all category that means something is incorrect on your basic information. That's why we encourage you to be precise on the front end. If you make a mistake, corrections can be made, but it costs you time and throws up a red flag. So you want to make sure everything is typed in correctly on the front end. If you think you've entered an incorrect routing or account number, email address, federal tax ID, or if the name on your checking account and application don't match, you'll need to call customer service to verify the correct information. So, and please do this as soon as possible because you don't want to delay the process any further. Second, another big reason that applications are denied is that the applicants are not paying close attention to eligibility statements. The platform requires a check mark that the following do not apply to you. You must review and check all these boxes to be eligible. Most of the confusion is around the child support question. You must check this box if you do not owe any child support. So in this section, you're going to go through and check that you are. So you need to check you're not engaged in any illegal activity, no principal of the applicant with a 50% or greater ownership interest is more than 60 days delinquent on child support obligations. Your business is not an agricultural enterprise. There are no displays of prurient sexual nature, does not derive more than 1/3 from legal gambling, not in the business of lobbying, and not a government or member of Congress. So if you do not check these boxes, well, you do have to see if they apply first, but if you do not check these boxes, that means that you are ineligible for an EIDL loan. So another issue that we see is that the information entered from the gross annual revenues doesn't match the numbers on your 2019 federal taxes. So please, please, please ensure that these numbers match. So just go through and just verify when you're entering the information. Another common decline reason is economic injury not substantiated. There are two possible reasons for this decline. The eligible loan amount is based on the 2019 tax information. The calculation is the total gross receipts less the cost of goods sold times 2, so times 24 months. So that was on the previous slide 7. So if the cost of goods sold listed are greater than your gross receipts, the eligible loan amount will be 0, meaning the applicant is not eligible for a COVID EIDL loan. If the eligible loan amount, gross receipts minus cost of goods sold, was less than the EIDL advance the applicant received, the applicant is not eligible for a COVID EIDL loan. If you believe that there was an error on your application that led to an eligible loan amount of 0 or less than your EIDL advance, or if you believe this determination was otherwise made in error, you can apply for reconsideration to reactivate your application and submit additional information. So we'll go over this a little bit more further along, but this request for reconsideration, you can see that you can email pdc.reconsideration@sba.gov. And I will put that in the slide a little later or in the chat. So failure to respond. When you receive the invitation to register in the loan portal or to accept the actual loan offer and sign those documents, you must respond within 30 days. So if you do not respond to emails asking for additional information, so if you're in the process and a loan specialist contacts you from the disaster center and they're asking for information, they will give you 7 days to return this information to them. If not, your application will be withdrawn. So you may request a reconsideration to reactivate your application and submit additional information. So you do have to remember that there are millions of applications right now, so just try to stay on top of that as much as possible. Another common reason for decline is an unsatisfactory credit history, meaning your credit score does not meet a minimum 570 credit score requirement. You may request reconsideration to reactivate your application and submit additional information to demonstrate repayment ability using your pre-COVID cash flow analysis, if this is the case. To request reconsideration for this decline reason, the applicant must provide the following: a complete copy of your 2019 filed federal tax return for the business, a signed and completed IRS Form 4506T for the business, an SBA Form 2202 Schedule of Liabilities for your business, and you will also need to provide an explanation of any delinquent credit issues, and this will all be emailed to pdc.reconsideration@sba.gov. So let's go over some red flags that you should be aware of. So do not use the same email for multiple business. It causes a huge problem. It creates duplicates. Once you apply, you cannot easily or quickly change that email listed. It's kind of hard to do. You should have a separate email for each partner and LLC member. So we want you to get it right the first time. So use these tools online at SBA.gov. The application checklist walks you through the application, and the sample application gives you actual screenshots of the application portal. There are also portal instructions and FAQs. So I am going to put these into the chat. Let me see if I can get it in there. I'm going to put those in the chat after we complete this, so you'll all have that information. So reconsideration basics. Most people won't share this information with you, but sometimes you need to know why certain things are asked in different ways as you travel through this EIDL path. Your EIDL loan is initiated and finalized with the Office of Disaster Assistance. Your reconsideration, however, goes to the Processing and Distribution Center. There are technically 4 types of reconsideration. There's the basic loan denial, loan decrease or increase, citizen verification, and business verification reconsideration, which is required when a public records cross-check does not find your business. So here is a list of the most often required documents that will be requested in a reconsideration. You'll need your 2019 federal tax returns, of course, an updated 4506T specific to SBA, a copy of an official ID, and a voided check from your business account. Now let's look at the 4506T a little more. Early in the process, these were done after the fact, and you needed to download, sign, and then upload them back into the portal. So now the 4506T is built into the platform. However, the form has a limited lifespan, so you may need to use the downloadable version at some point in time. The information you put on the downloaded form must match the information from your tax returns exactly. That means your name, business name, and the address all need to match up and be in the same order. So for an example, if you have the word street in your address and your tax return uses the abbreviation ST for street, then your 4506T needs to use that abbreviation as well. The SBA, a specific 4506T, will list the date, March 2019. You'll see that at the top red arrow, or at the very top above the red arrow. And then line 5A will list SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance as the organization to receive the transcript. So this is a good indication of this is the correct form that you need to use, because you don't want a delay just for using the incorrect form. On line 6, make sure you input exactly the kind of tax return you file. Also, under 6C, choose record of account and click on the checkbox at the end, and make sure the box above your signature is checked. So how to ask for reconsideration. So here's a quick review. Once you receive a denial letter, you'll have 6 months to ask for reconsideration. However, remember that deadline is coming up December 31st, 2021, or until the funds are exhausted. So you'll want to get that in as quickly as possible. You'll need to email the PDC reconsideration@sb.gov. You can also mail in your request. You'll see the mailing address right there, but it is super slow, so I would not recommend that. So just understand this is not a fast process, especially if your business identity is in question. So all of that information will have to be checked. So here is a sample of what your email for reconsideration could look like. This is just a guide and not a guarantee of success. So in the email subject line, enter your legal name of the business and loan application number. This should begin with the 3. Your loan application number should begin with the 3. You should also put the type of reconsideration you're requesting. Your denial letter will tell you why you were declined. So we want to touch on that in this email. So here's an example. So you'll be telling them what type of reconsideration and why. Here it's the business verification. I'm sorry. Here is the business verification because of unverifiable information. And also make sure you put your name, business name, phone number, and federal tax ID at the end. So you'll see up here your business name, Patty's Pet Supplies, your application number, and why the reconsiderations for business verification. And it's just simply to whom it may concern. I recently received a decline letter from the U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Assistance Office. According to the correspondence, I have unverifiable information. Attached, you'll find everything that they asked for and requested. And then make sure you put your name, again, your business name, your EIN number, and your phone number at the bottom. So let's go over targeted and supplemental advances for those that it applies to. Now, when you apply for your EIDL loan, you have the option to apply for the EIDL advance, which also includes the supplemental advance. These advances are different from the advances available in 2020 because there are more strict eligibility requirements. For the targeted EIDL advance, eligible businesses will be located in a low-income community and have suffered a loss greater than 30% and have 300 or fewer employees. What is and what is not a low-income community is determined by the census tract. That's why the Congress wrote this into the program. Be aware that even if you're just across the street from a low-income census tract, you won't be eligible for the advance unless your business address is within that census tract. Again, SBA is reaching out to those who could qualify. So you will receive an email with specific instructions. However, we've learned that many times these emails are going into spam folders and businesses are missing out on the opportunity. So if you applied for an EIDL loan, even if you were denied, you could still be eligible for this advance. Be sure to keep an eye out on your email box for an email from sba.gov. Make sure that it says sba.gov. And unfortunately, this is not a quick process either, so you can expect the process to take several weeks. So what if you can't find that initial email? The best thing for you to do is to call customer service. As of June 3rd, customer service representatives can resend a link to the targeted advance portal. So even if you want to just find out if you are a part of this, you can call customer service at 1-800-659-2955 or send an email to disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. If your targeted advance is denied, you can request a reevaluation. You can send an email to targeted advanced reevaluation@sba.gov. In the subject line, reevaluation, I'm getting tongue-tied here, request, you put that in the subject line along with your 10-digit application number. So be sure to include in the body of the email identifying information for the application, including the application number, your business name, the business address, the business owner name or names, and the phone number. Also include an explanation and any documentation that addresses the reason for decline if you have that available. And SBA will contact you if additional documentation is required. So even if you have previously received the original EIDL advance in the full amount of $10,000, you may also be eligible for the supplemental targeted advance. Your business could be eligible for this advance if it is located in a low-income community, you had at least a 50% economic loss during an 8-week period beginning March 2nd, 2020, or later, compared to the same period of the previous year, and have 10 or fewer employees. This includes sole proprietors, independent contractors, private nonprofit organizations, and others that usually qualify for the EIDL program. However, agricultural businesses such as farmers and ranchers are not eligible for the supplemental targeted advance. Oh, sorry about that. I'm a little slow here. So, I don't know if you can see that question. Is that bar over? Okay, I'm moving the bar over. How do I show 30% or 50% reduction? What do I need to submit? So you'll need to provide your 2019 federal tax return. You will also be required to provide the business's monthly gross receipts for each month from January 2019 through the most recent month. This information will be used to determine that your business meets the 30% reduction in revenue requirement for the targeted EIDL advance and a 50% reduction for the supplemental targeted advance. You will input the monthly information directly into the platform. So you'll see that example on the slide. If you haven't already, you'll also be required to electronically sign an IRS Form 4506T to allow the SBA to request tax information on your behalf to verify that information. So here is that low-income communities map. Just input your address and it will immediately tell you if you are in a zone. You can also go to sba.gov/COVID-19 to find this map, and you can click on targeted advance. That is sba.gov/COVID-19. So hopefully I've answered your most pressing questions about the EIDL loans. Most other application questions are answered in the EIDL frequently asked questions. So this, I'm also going to, in the chat, include this information. So you'll have these links here. Let's move on to, let's talk a little bit about fraud. There is a lot of fraud that is surrounding this program. So if you suspect identity theft in the COVID EIDL program, please contact SBA's Office of Disaster Assistance. They will then report this to the SBA Inspector General, but you can also do that as well. So you can see all the phone numbers and links right here. Seriously consider going to www.identitytheft.gov. Once you enter your information, the site will create an identity theft report. You can use that to report in multiple ways, including providing it to the local police and your credit bureau. If you think your Social Security number has been compromised, contact the Social Security Administration at 1-800-269-0271 or submit a report online. If you believe someone has taken out an EIDL loan in your name, SBA wants to begin the process of releasing you from the loan debt as quickly as possible. So SBA will need a copy of an identity theft report filed with the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, at identitytheft.gov, or a file with another federal law enforcement agency or your local police department. We will need a copy of your photo ID issued by a federal or state agency. So an example of that would be like your driver's license, your state ID card. You can use a US passport or your military ID. And SBA needs a complete and signed declaration of your identity theft. And so the link below right here, and you can also Google these too, and they'll come right up. So there's a link right there for that. You can send all three of these documents to ID theft records at sba.gov. You can also fax these documents to 202-481-5200 or mail to SBA's Processing and Disbursement Center in Fort Worth, Texas, 76155. If you receive monthly statements by mail, we suggest that you retain these statements until SBA has concluded the review. And SBA will notify you in writing when we have completed the review and provide a final determination letter that outlines the findings. And finally, here is some additional and possibly valuable information for you. Please see if you're eligible for the Employee Retention Tax Credit, the Paid Leave Tax Credit, or the COBRA Premium Assistance Credit. These tax credits can be claimed against your employer's share of Social Security or Medicare tax, and they are refundable and advanceable. So refundable means that the full amount of tax credit is available and will be refunded to the employer if the credit exceeds the employment tax due. And advanceable means that in anticipation of the credit, the employer can retain the employment tax deposits owned or filed to receive an advance payment. Okay, so now we will move on to some Q&A. But let me also say that if you want to stay connected with the SBA online, you can go to sba.gov/KY to get updates. And this is me, Dana Winston, and you can send questions to ky@sba.gov, and I will try my best to answer all of your questions. And while we're doing that, I will also try to put these links in our chat here.
Thank you, Dana. That was a lot. I learned a lot today. I mean, I get calls on this all the time, and things kind of change. But your explanation was great. I think everybody really got a lot out of this today. I know I did. So
I know it's very quick, you
Yeah.
know, to go over all of it. So, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
yeah, we do have quite a few questions. So
I will try my best.
okay. So Kevin would like to know, he says, can we still qualify for this loan if we have received a PPP loan?
Yes, you can. Yes, I would apply as soon as possible because those are actually totally different. So the PPP is for their payroll, and you know, there's a ton of other uses for the EIDL. So absolutely.
Okay. So here's a good question. So they asked twice. So hello, is there someone I can contact about a loan that has been in process for several months? And they say, I have called in several times to check on status and have been told it just takes time. Any comment on that? I've heard that quite a bit myself too.
So so we are talking about EIDL, right?
Hopefully so, yes.
Yes. So it depends. Well, you can do, let me get to it real quick. Let me put in these FAQs real quick. I'm getting older. I can only do one thing at a time right now.
Okay.
So I want you all to have all these links. So please copy and paste them. But like I said, you can just Google them as well. So there is an email address that you can use. So let me get this real quick for you.
Yeah, I get calls on this a lot, that it takes a long time. And, you know, if you're in an emergency situation, you know, this is probably not a quick fix, it seems like, but I do know
Yes,
that it takes a while.
it still does take a little while to get an email, but they have just come up with these new email boxes that we are allowed to share. And you can send an email and ask for a status update, or if there's any other information that you need to provide.
So I guess in that email, you'd want to include your loan number or any other identifying information to kind of help them find your account when you ask.
Absolutely. You don't want to send it blind. Let's see for some national. My apologies, I should have had this up already. No, just consideration. So let me just put these in here real quick as I find them.
Okay. Well, let me ask you just a quick question. It shouldn't distract you too much, but so if you have already got an EIDL loan that is like under 200,000, can you request additional EIDL funding, or are you done?
You can, because they initially will send you like when you submit your information, they'll send you that email with your maximum. But I have found that you can still request more information or more funding. I'm sorry. So you can. This is for an increase.
Yes.
I'm putting this in the chat right now too.
Okay.
I hope everyone can see this. So COVID idle increase request at SBA.gov. And like Dave said, you still want to put all of the information necessary so they can identify you.
Yeah. Can you expand on the restriction where you cannot use funds to expand your business? Is that as simple as a new location would disqualify you during the repayment period? Or what about capital expenditures to invest in your equipment for your business?
That's different. So buying equipment, things like that to help expand your business is different from, you're purchasing, another company as an addition to the company that you currently have to expand.
Okay.
So if you're purchasing equipment to help your business or purchasing more, marketing items or something like that, that's not considered an expansion.
Okay. Here's a great question from Kathleen. Can you sell your company in the future if you received an EIDL loan? And I guess basically the question is what happens to the EIDL loan if you're going to sell your business?
You will still have that loan. It's a federal loan, but you want to contact the disaster center and let them know that you are selling your business.
Okay.
So, I recently had one. So I'm just saying, this is an example that could happen. So a business was sold and the loan was sold along with it, but that was an agreement with that borrower and the bank. And so, the EIDL was transferred into someone else's name. It was a long process, but it's something that could happen if needed.
Gotcha.
And here is for a status updates.
Okay. Nice, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. And this other question I wanted to ask. So if you got an EIDL last year, but the calculation you showed is higher than the amount received, what is the best way to request an increase? You would go to that email address that you shared earlier? Yes,
EIDL increase. It's COVID EIDL, COVID EIDL increase, INCREASE request at SBA.gov.
Okay. Yeah, really shared a lot of stuff. So if you're out there watching, please copy all those links down there. They're invaluable. Or go to SBA.gov. There's a lot of information there as well.
And remember, Google is your friend too. So these links up here, you can absolutely Google and find them, but copy down the email addresses.
Dana, I've had a lot of clients ask me about getting an email from the SBA requesting a board resolution. What can you tell me about that?
I'm not really familiar with that. So I did have that same question, and I just advised them to go ahead and send it back. And if it does not apply, I just respond to the email and say that, I don't have a board. Because in this example that I have, it was a daycare. So she did not have a board. Right. And so her email with that statement satisfied the request.
Great. All right. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time. Jim, we'd like to ask, can you also request an increase in the EIDL portal the application portal, I guess?
I am not actually really sure about that. Okay. I'm not, because I don't have access to that portal. So, It's weird and odd, but I've never seen it. I mean, not seen it hands-on. I've seen screenshots.
Yeah.
But the best way that I have been told is to, do that increase by sending an email.
Yeah. Okay. That's so true. Yeah. If you're not actually applying for it yourself, it's kind of hard to get a sense for what the portal activity is like. Once you get
Yeah.
into it. So, Kathleen says she was able to request an increase through the portal. So that's good.
Oh,
Thank you,
you know
Kathleen.
what? You are actually right, because someone told me there's a button in there that says increase that you can press to request an increase. However, when this person told me that, she didn't get the increase that she wanted and needed. So then she had to turn around and send an email to that email address.
Okay. Will the interest rates remain the same if you request an increase? Does the rate change as the?
Nope, the rate is 3.75% for businesses, and nonprofits, 2.75.
All right. Couldn't get a better deal than that.
Yes, it's awesome.
Nancy would like us to talk again about the information to include in that increase request in the email. And that email address, Nancy, is in the chat. You can just click the little chat button at the bottom and it'll pop up and you'll see it there. Scroll down.
She said, did she say a reconsideration or increase?
Increase, yes.
Okay, let me go back to the increase here.
And I think Nancy would want to include your loan number and any information that would make the loan officer have an easy time to find your account.
Yes, so it's kind of like the sample email to whom may concern. You put your business name, your application number, and you can put increase in there. So along with that, I mean, they ask for your 2019 federal tax returns. Make sure you have an updated 4506T, because they do expire after, I believe it's 90 days or so. 90 or 180, they may have you redo it. So make sure that is up to date for that increase as well. And any pertinent information that you can send to back up your request.
Here's a question. Can the EIDL loan be converted to the PPP loan?
No, it cannot. Those are two separate types of loans, and funding has been exhausted for PPP anyway. But PPP is forgivable. So you don't, well, I mean, it would be nice to convert a loan that you're paying on to a forgivable loan, but no, it can't happen.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt to ask, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. I think that's about all the questions we have today. So if you want to jump in quickly and throw one more question at us. Anyone? Guess that's about it. Dana, this has been really awesome. You've really given us a lot of information today, and it's been great. Can't thank you enough. I know how busy you are there at the SBA office, so I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to share all this with us.
Well, you're more than welcome. Anytime. You guys are awesome and valuable partners. I mean, you just don't understand how much you help us. So, yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So if you want to reach out to Dana, there's her contact information. Dana is one of my best friends at the SBA. She is awesome. And she always gets back to you. So that doesn't always happen sometimes, but Dana will always be there for you. I really appreciate it about you. So thank you, Dana.
And if I do miss it, email again. So charge it to the head, not to the heart.
Well, hang on. We got one more question. Janet says,
okay.
Let's see. So Michael says, I received an EIDL on 6/1/20 20. I believe my interest rate is 1.5. Okay, I see. And so now I see the loan rates are 3.75 for-profit businesses. Did these rates increase?
They've always been the same.
Yeah.
It's been a fixed rate this entire time. So 3.75 for businesses and nonprofits, 2.75.
Yeah. Okay. And who should we contact to discuss repayment of EIDL if we are unable to pay?
Ooh, we have not crossed that path yet. So if your deferral period is coming up and it's time to repay, I would contact disaster customer service and work out and talk to them about working out, an individual option for you.
Yeah. I think they'll probably, I don't know if they will or, it never doesn't hurt to ask. And this is a loan to help businesses that are struggling. So it would make sense that they would want to work something out with you. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, contact customer service. If you go to sba.gov, the phone number's there. But yeah, I hope that works out for you. And if you want to contact us, we'd be happy to help you if you can.
So right here,
yep.
disaster customer service is our assistance 800-659-2955. So yeah, give them a call.
Yep. Or you can contact us at the SBDC at KentuckySBDC.com and request some assistance as well.
And here's the email address as well, disastercustomerservice@sba.gov.
Yeah, I would call because you might have to wait a few minutes, but they're really good about answering the phone there. And most of the folks that I've talked to have been really nice as I've helped people. So it's worth the call. It's quicker.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot quicker. And you can ask all of your, questions at one time.
Yeah. But again, make sure you have your loan number and all the information you need there at your fingertips so that you can get what you need to get done. So good luck with that. Well, Dana, thank you again so much. It's so good to see you. We haven't been together in 2 years.
I know, it's been for a long time, hasn't it?
It's coming up on bus ride time, so we're going to have another Small Business Saturday. So you'll be there, right?
Yes,
Right.
I will be.
All right. Dana, thank you as always. Janet, thanks for driving the ship for us in the background.
Thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Here. Stay on there for me, David.